We just witnessed a true milestone. For the first time ever, the settlement of IPO proceeds took place on a blockchain. And yes, the XRP Ledger was right there at the center of it, along with a couple of others. This is yet another powerful example of how XRP delivers real-world utility in ways most other cryptos can only dream of. So let me put it like this. If you've ever questioned whether you were on the right side of history with XRP, the answer is a resounding yes. It couldn't be clearer. XRP stands out as one of the undeniable early winners in the digital asset space. While many coins exist without any practical function, XRP is dripping with actual use cases that matter. Now, before we dive deeper, I need to make one thing absolutely clear. I'm not a financial professional. Nothing I share should be considered financial advice. Don't buy or sell based on my words. I'm simply an enthusiast who enjoys discussing crypto here on YouTube. As a hobby, nothing more. With that said, let's jump to the headline from the Crypto Basic. Bullish settles portion of $1.5 billion IPO proceeds in RLUSD on the XRP Ledger. Bullish, for those who don't know, is a major global cryptocurrency exchange with institutional level credibility and multiple Tier 1 licenses. And what's remarkable is that they chose the XRP Ledger to settle a portion of this groundbreaking $1.5 billion offering. Here's what happened. Bullish recently completed its US IPO and arranged for $1.5 billion of proceeds to be delivered in stablecoins, specifically RLUSD, which is Ripple USD. Technologically speaking, RLUSD exists because of the XRP Ledger. Of course, its value is tied to the US dollar and treasury bills, but it's the XRP Ledger that makes it all function. This is a huge shift because IPO proceeds are traditionally settled in fiat currencies like USD, euros, or British pounds, through conventional banking channels. Instead, Bullish went with an innovative approach, settling its IPO in a mix of USD and EUR-based stablecoins. And to add even more credibility, the well-known investment bank Jefferies acted as the delivery agent for the offering. If you hop over to the official Bullish exchange, you'll notice they've got a huge selection of trading pairs. And right there in plain sight, you'll see pairs like RLUSD or USDC, XRP or RLUSD, and XRP or USDC. Remember, USDC is now integrated into the XRP Ledger as well, which makes this even more exciting. But what really stands out here are the trading volumes. They're pretty impressive. Take the XRP or RLUSD pair, for example, which is showing over $69 million in volume. That's no small number, especially for a stablecoin that only came into existence in December of last year. Honestly, that's a solid start by any measure. And here's why all of this is such a big deal for XRP holders. RLUSD is seeing rapid adoption, no question about it. The growth is happening quickly, not just in usage, but also in market cap. And remember, RLUSD only exists on the XRP Ledger because of how it's built. Every single RLUSD transaction on the ledger requires XRP to function, essentially acting as the gas token. So the more RLUSD activity grows, the more XRP is being utilized in the process. Now, Ripple themselves chimed in on this milestone. The San Francisco-based payments company congratulated Bullish on its IPO and highlighted that part of the proceeds were settled in RLUSD. In their statement, Ripple pointed out that this marks the very first public listing where settlement happened directly on-chain. And just to show you, here's the official post. So here's the post straight from Ripple's official account with over 3.1 million followers. By the way, they congratulated Bullish on their successful IPO and pointed out that a portion of the proceeds was actually settled in RLUSD, which is minted directly on the XRP Ledger. Ripple also emphasized that this is the very first public listing where the settlement process happened on-chain, setting a new standard for how stablecoins could play a role in future IPOs. And folks, this really is a glimpse into the future. XRP may not have been the very first cryptocurrency, but it was one of the earliest, and that counts for a lot. It was built with the kind of tech that Bitcoin was supposed to deliver, but never could. And XRP had that capability from day one. And now, we're seeing the market finally recognize and reward that. So let's keep going here. According to the announcement, Coinbase will be handling custody for the stablecoins involved, making sure everything is kept secure. Coinbase's VP of Institutional Products, Greg Toussart, even said they're proud to play such a key role in Bullish's IPO, adding that this whole development really shows how stablecoins have the potential to modernize the global financial system. Meanwhile, Bullish's CFO David Bonanno, yes, Bonanno, not banana fund name though, highlighted that the company views stablecoins as one of the most game-changing use cases in the digital asset space. He also mentioned that Bullish has already been using stablecoins internally for cross-border settlements, which just reinforces their value. And speaking of growth, check this out. The market cap for RLUSD has jumped by more than 26% in just the past month, now sitting at around $666 million. Yeah, I know, 666, kind of a spooky number, but don't worry, I don't think that's a bad omen here. What matters is that RLUSD is gaining serious traction. In fact, it now ranks within the top 100 cryptocurrencies by market cap. Now, personally, I don't think stablecoins necessarily belong in the same rankings as other assets on sites like CoinMarketCap or Live CoinWatch, but since they are tracked, it's worth pointing out. And of course, at the heart of all this, adoption sits XRP and the XRP Ledger, making it possible. Now check this out. Here's a post from Jack McDonald, the CEO of Standard Custody, which is actually a Ripple subsidiary. They handle digital asset custody solutions for institutional investors. And here's what Jack had to say. He explained that RLUSD on the XRP Ledger is becoming more and more connected to traditional finance systems, whether that's being used as collateral, powering cross-border settlements, or now, for the very first time, being used in IPO proceeds. Jack also noted that even before the Genius Act was passed, RLUSD had already earned a reputation in both crypto and traditional finance as the gold standard for compliance. And now, according to him, the floodgates are officially opening. And, honestly, he's spot on. That couldn't be more true. This is yet another huge win for XRP holders, because it adds one more layer of utility, one more reason XRP and the XRP Ledger are here to stay long term. Remember, XRP is required for all of these transactions to work. And of course, just as a reminder, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I say should be taken as financial advice. Don't make investment decisions based on my words. I'm just sharing my perspective as a crypto enthusiast.